We're pleased to welcome Mr. Robert J. Budsock, President and CEO of a great organization called Integrity House, celebrating its 50th anniversary. Integrity House is all about?
So Integrity House is a nonprofit, community-based organization that was founded in 1968 with the mission of providing opportunities for individuals to reclaim their lives. We are the largest licensed residential addiction provider in the state of New Jersey. We have a total of 420 residential addiction treatment beds, and those beds are in our Newark and Secaucus campuses. In addition to that, we have 8 licensed outpatient sites, and those sites are in Essex County, Hudson County, Morris County,
Ocean County, right?
And in Ocean County down at Toms River. And then additionally, and most recently, as of October of 2017, Integrity House became the third-party operator of addiction services at Newbridge Medical Center, which is in Paramus up in Bergen County.
Let me ask you this. The opioid epidemic in this nation, we're not around, obviously, when you guys started. It is just destroying the lives of so many. How has it changed what you do every day and who you do it for?
Yeah. Well, I could tell you back in 1968, I wasn't around in 1968. I've been with Integrity House for 33 years. But that back in 1968, the founder of Integrity House started with a single house, which was in the Lincoln Park section of Newark, New Jersey. It was a year after the Newark uprising. Right. And he identified a need within the Newark community to treat opiate addiction. And there were other addictions also, alcoholism, cocaine, but primarily opiate addiction. And he identified that need in the inner city. And we started with those very humble beginnings, with a single house with 6 clients. And we had a founder who had a passion and a vision for just helping people and helping people put their lives back together. And over the years, we have actually, we've professionalized our services. We have licensed staff. We use evidence-based practices. We still have that home-like atmosphere at Integrity House, right, where when it's a residential treatment or even an outpatient treatment, we like to create a very warm, welcoming family environment. But we've added these evidence-based practices, specifically medication-assisted treatment. Research has proven that addiction is a disease of the brain.
Yeah, let's talk about the mental health part of it.
Yeah. So research has shown that that addiction is a disease of the brain. So we have addiction that impacts the brain. We also have mental illness that impacts the brain. Probably when we talk about mental illness, about 10 years ago, Horizon Foundation really came to the aid of Integrity House.
They're supporters of yours. By the way, full disclosure, they support us here at the Caucus Educational Corporation and public broadcasting as well.
Yes,
go ahead.
yes. And Jonathan Pearson's the executive director of the Horizon Foundation. He has been a close friend of Integrity House for many years. About 10 years ago, we really noticed an uptick in individuals that have a co-occurring mental health disorder. And at that time, the Horizon Foundation actually supported the addition of mental health services at Integrity House.
Let me ask you this. There are 4, quote-unquote, are they pillars of Integrity House?
Yes.
Go through them quickly.
Yeah. So the 4 pillars of Integrity House, or the 4 pillars of effective treatment, we feel are the professional addiction treatment services, the mental health services, the primary medical services, and then we have housing and all the social supports that are required for someone to actually be successful and sustain their recovery.
I've often thought about this. We've had people in our family continue to struggle with addiction, as is the case with millions of families across this nation. Do you believe that a person in the throes of drug addiction, that he or she has to want to do this, or can they be forced into it?
I think in most cases, someone needs to have their back up against the wall,
right,
and needs to have some external motivation to take some action to turn their lives around. In some cases, it could be involvement with the criminal justice system.
Yep.
In other cases, it could be a family member that has given an ultimatum to the individual.
Either you go for treatment,
or there's going to be consequences. Cutting them off is a tough thing to do.
Sure is.
So, but there has to be consequences, and the family has to work together with whoever else is close to the individual that's impacted by the addiction.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. You know, you have to work with that individual to convince them and open their eyes that that they have to find a better way to live. So what happens with addiction, when we talk about the brain disease, that actually the brain ends up getting hijacked by the drug. Well, what happens is that there's mechanisms in the brain that naturally release dopamine, which just gives us a good feeling, and those mechanisms they're brought on by a social interaction that maybe you and I are having today, by the food that I ate this morning, by other things that I do that actually just gives me a thrill or gives me some excitement and a good feeling. And what happens when you introduce those drugs into the system, specifically, cocaine, methamphetamine, opiates, when you introduce those drugs, they end up releasing...
They mess with the brain.
And they end up releasing just 10 times the amount of dopamine. So the
and it feels good for some.
Yeah, so the individual, that is certainly somebody that's predisposed to addiction, and somebody that may have already low dopamine levels. When you introduce the drug, it ends up taking over, and then the brain tricks the person into thinking that, what they need for survival is more of the drug, as opposed to the other healthy things that they should be pursuing.
As I listen to Robert, it just strikes me how little we understand about addiction and how much you've just helped a whole bunch of folks. And for 50 years, Integrity House has been doing it. Started in 1968. Robert J. Budsock, President and CEO of Integrity House, based in...
Newark, New Jersey.
And lots of other locations.
And lots of other locations in northern New Jersey.
Congratulations on 50 great years.
Thank you.
The preceding program has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of Caucus New Jersey has been provided by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Valley National Bank, Caldwell University, New Jersey Sharing Network, Adler Aphasia Center, the New Jersey Office of the Insurance Fraud Prosecutor, and by Kessler Foundation. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. Caucus New Jersey has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios.